big fan of telling people what they should think. There's a reason we all have our own minds and thought processes, and the more varying our views, the healthier our society. I actually believe that. I also don't believe that anyone should have a right to say anything at all bad about Justin Fields. Good morning to you. Good Monday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Steelers. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into hockey and or baseball, I also offer daily shots of Penguins and Pirates in the same place that you found this. Colts 27, Steelers 24 here in Indianapolis yesterday. It was a performance by the previously undefeated Pittsburghers that was marred by mistakes galore on both sides of the ball. And heck, the sideline too, if you want to count Mike Tomlin and his staff. And those mistakes included two of them by Fields. One was a fumble that he lost while backtracking away from a heavy double rush off both edges that he should have seen, regardless of whether or not the Steelers butchered the blocking, and they did. And he should have reacted accordingly and just, not tried to escape two really big, fast dudes. A botched snap with Zach Frazier. Frazier tried really hard to not answer several questions on the subject afterward because he's a rookie and because he's smart. But it really was Fields' fault, and Fields acknowledged as much afterward. And there it is. A game of a lot of mistakes, two of them by Fields. And now that we have that out of the way, you ready? Okay. Fields completed 22 of 34 passes for 312 yards. One of those was a touchdown pass to Pat Freiermuth. He also was the team's leading rusher. I know that's damning him with faint praise, considering Najee Harris was back there too. But Fields ran 10 times for 55 yards, a long of 12. And oh, by the way, two of his runs were touchdowns. So basically, he kept the Steelers in the game. He kept their heads above water. He engineered the rally in the second half that even if it would have been the most undeserved W of all time, it still nearly happened. And if it had, yeah, I know, if. My point here is this. He's QB1. Russell Wilson is not. He's going to be QB1 against the Cowboys next week. Wilson is not. He's going to be QB1 the following week in Las Vegas. Wilson is not. He's going to be, in my estimation, QB1 all season long, provided his health, and Wilson is not. And the only reason I say that is not to sound like some kind of fortune teller. Just watch him. Watch him. Take, if you can. Maybe this requires doing it the day after when you're not as emotional, you're not invested in the moment, and the outcome isn't everything. I don't even just mean the outcome of the game. I mean outcomes of individual plays. Where you can, for example, watch an individual play where one offensive lineman totally misses his assignment, but two others just pancake their guys. To me, that's when football is fun, when you can start really picking it apart. I know it's harder when it's your team and you're bouncing around the living room and throwing stuff in the direction of the TV, artfully avoiding it somehow. But just try it sometime, Monday or Tuesday. Get that all 22 film that's available from NFL Plus. No, they're not a sponsor. I'm just throwing that out there because I do that, meaning I have a subscription and I'm having fun with it. And if and when you do that, if you take away I hate this guy and I hate that guy and I really hated that moment, and, you've slept, if you were drinking, you're not as hungover, you went to work brought you back down to reality, you get back and you look at that film and you go, his quarterback, he made some throws. He really did. He made some capital throws. And he's been doing that all along, and he's only getting better week after week after week. And if you're going to let one goofy, and this was a goofy loss, cloud your judgment on something as important to this franchise's future as figuring out who their quarterback is right now, and of course heading into 2025 and 2026, then you're probably beyond hope for what it is that I'm trying to describe here. Fields was really good through 3-0. He's really good through 3-1. There are a lot of things wrong with this team, most of them fixable. Fields doesn't fall into either category, and if you don't trust me on this, trust his teammates. No, they're not just saying the right thing. They're in line. They want to ride with him. They believe in him, and they believe in him more, judging from the conversations I had here in Indy yesterday with these guys, now than they did a week ago. And they did so more a week ago than they did the previous week. This is what you want. This is not a problem. They have problems. We're going to talk about them this week. But let's also keep it real. When we come back, J1Q. Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George is a personal injury law firm in Western Pennsylvania that represents injured people in automobile accidents, workers' compensation cases, and medical malpractice claims. The attorneys at Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George pride themselves in doing what they say they're going to do. It's important to them that when they make you a promise, they keep that promise. And this law firm has been keeping promises for over 80 years. Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George has been AV rated. That's the highest rating a law firm can receive for legal ability and ethics. And the lawyers at the firm have been designated super lawyers, that's a real thing, for over 15 years. Rare combination there. Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George has offices in Cranberry, Newcastle, Beaver Falls, Butler, and Elwood City. Learn more about them at lgkg.com or by calling 888-842-5454. Again, that's 888-842-5454. Today's J1Q comes from RC, who asks, DK, why is the Steelers' zone coverage so bad? It seems like every third down they were in zone, and the Indianapolis wide receivers had 5 yards of cushion everywhere. I'm still in Indy, RC, and I still haven't gotten home to do everything I just described as being fun in the opening segment. One part that might not be as much fun, I suspect, so don't hold me to this, but I suspect from watching the game from the press box, which does not obviously limit you to what you're being shown on TV, that Beanie Bishop did not play well. That's not to isolate him, but to what you're citing very specifically there, and that is a specific thing. The Colts were able to find people open, a lot of them underneath, some of them slicing through the middle, whereas I'm pretty confident you'll recall that they weren't as successful or anywhere near as successful in throwing to the sidelines. That tells me it was more a middle of the field issue, and since you're talking about underneath, you're talking about your nickel guy, you're talking about your inside linebackers, and to a lesser extent, your safeties. And I didn't like what you're describing either. I haven't been crazy about Bishop's play, actually, to be honest with you, and the Steelers can't get Cam Sutton into the lineup soon enough. But I've got a bigger problem with this scenario. Same scenario you're laying out. Where was the pass rush? Regardless of how you split it up, where was the pass rush? Where was... Yeah, TJ Watt was getting chipped, and he was getting chipped a lot, and sometimes it was more than chipped. You could tell the Colts wanted nothing to do with TJ being the guy who wrecked the game. Nick Herbig had some nice rushes and everything, but you didn't really notice Nick that much either, did you? Now, part of the reason for that, the Colts had a really, really good game plan. I mean, all around, their offensive game plan was really sharp. Don't forget, they get paid too. But B, within that, the Colts did a lot of running to the edges with Jonathan Taylor, especially to the left side. What did I share with you this past week was going to happen to Herbig? Yeah, they were going to run at him. They did run at him with not great success, but some success. and enough maybe to unpin his ears a little bit. Now, in parentheses here, to be fair, Herbig also had an ankle injury, although Mike Tomlin didn't cite it afterward, which means it's probably not that serious, end parentheses. One way or another, guys weren't getting back there. TJ wasn't getting back there. The D linemen weren't getting back there. The stunts up the middle, which the Steelers did try, I confirmed with Patrick Queen, didn't get back there. And as Tomlin would, I thought this was a little awkward actually, acknowledge afterward, the Steelers went in with a game plan for Anthony Richardson and then ended up facing his polar opposite on the quarterback spectrum, Joe Flacco. Tomlin said that that's a tough thing to adjust to, and we didn't adjust to it very well. We should have adjusted to it sooner. Well, he didn't say this, but I took that to mean we really should have gone after him, and they really didn't. And I was thinking about that a lot during the third and fourth quarters. Flacco should have spent the entire second half as a horizontal entity, and it didn't happen even once. That's on the Steelers. That's a mistake by the Steelers. Remember earlier in the show when I said you have to look at the sideline? This is principally what I'm referring to. Tomlin and or Terrell Austin needed to say, wait, Flacco's in the game? Hang on a second. Where'd our Flacco page go? And they didn't do that. They didn't even come close to doing that. So even though the Colts got those early 17 points, the ones that really hurt the Steelers were the ones that they gave up to Flacco in the second half. One or two really good, solid stops in the second half, and we'd all be talking about a different thing today. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Steelers. When I get home this afternoon, we're going to do a double shot at 4 p.m., and we're going to do another one of these tomorrow.